You mentioned in part one that you met your now husband, then boyfriend, and then found out you were in menopause.
Yeah.
How does that diagnosis affect your relationship? And what did you do to kind of overcome that and make sure that you were building this, new relationship with somebody during this duress?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was always like, I mean, I don't know. I always really enjoyed like sex and being sexual and sexy. And I mean, one story, for example, when we were dating, he said to me, what do you want for Christmas? And I said, oh, I don't know what, I probably gave a big list. And I said, what do you want? He said, I want you in a big red bow. So for the holiday, I literally was totally naked and got a big bow and like a big, beautiful bow and like wrapped my body in it. And he was like, that was amazing. That was the best gift ever. Next year, he said it to me. I want the same thing. And I was like, are you crazy? I am not doing that. Like I had zero sex drive, zero, my painful sex. Like I didn't enjoy it at all. And I got married, during this time, a year and a half later. Oh, yeah, but a year and a half later during this time period, went to the most, exotic, amazing place, Hawaii, the perfect honeymoon, second marriage, amazing. And just was like, I have nothing. And so I really did
Even
have,
on your honeymoon, you had nothing, huh?
I just had no libido. I mean, I had sex, but
Wow.
I didn't have any libido or drive or any of that. And so, I really had to like pay attention to it. I had to stop assuming that I was going to just fall into bed and, have a steamy romance. Like I really had to pay attention. I really had to communicate about what I wanted in the bedroom. I had to pay attention to what I was doing. I made sure that like I would moisturize and lube. And, I started on vaginal estrogen at some point and had those real conversations, which I never had to have before. I was like, sex just comes to me. And so it was a real difference. And I think that the communication was a big part of it, and having to explain like, look, it's not you, but I don't want to start any kind of like kissing or touching because I don't want it to have, I don't want to have sex. Like it was very painful for me until I took those right steps into what was going to help me. And now it's great, but I really didn't think that was ever going to come back for me because it became not enjoyable.
Sweet. So at the beginning, that's the most like sensitive time of building a relationship. And if you're like, dude, I don't want to have sex with you, weren't you afraid he was going to go have sex with other people?
I mean, no, luckily I had been with him for a few years. And so I was in like, unbeknownst to me, perimenopause into menopause. And so, no, I wasn't afraid about that. I think I was afraid that like I'd lost my, whatever it was. Like I'd lost my sex appeal, my sex drive. All of it gets wrapped up together. Like I didn't feel good about myself anymore and I didn't want to have sex. And it's not an abnormal thing. There were a lot of women and we don't talk about it again. You don't go into a
Hmm.
doctor and the doctor doesn't say, hey, how's your sex life, Tamsen? And going, everything good? You and I are good? It's good. How many
Yeah.
times? They don't do that. And so I didn't know that that was something that was going to ever go away. I just thought I was a sexual being. And so I don't think I was worried about that. I think I was worried about the fact that I was aging and moving into this place that was unreversible. That's what I think I was really worried about. It made me sad. And now I'm feeling great about it because I understood. I think when we have that information, it feels so much better because then we can get started on the solutions versus wondering what the hell is going on with us and if we're alone dealing with it.
That's the key right there.
Yeah.
Because we battle ourselves so much in so many ways, I feel like as women.
Do.
And then we blame ourselves for so much.
Mhm.
So that just seems like another thing we're blaming ourselves for when there's an actual reason that we should be looking at and we're aware. We're all aware about menopause. I think perimenopause just came into our awareness in recent times where there's like, okay, there's a couple of years before that we can also be looking at. But but yeah, I think understanding yourselves and then, solutions are there. And you are now an inspiring role model so that we all know that you can find yourself again. You might lose yourself for a minute, but you can find yourself again. Is there any advice that you would give someone navigating a new relationship, or maybe they're on dating apps, but they're insecure because they're going through this and maybe they just want to shut down? Like I imagine I would just want to shut down and be like, this is over. I'm never having sex again. This sucks, you know?
No, I did. I felt like that. I was like, oh my God, like this is it. Like I'm not gonna I'm 50 years old and I'm not gonna want to have sex anymore. Really? And then I thought like, oh my God, I used to say to myself, when a woman would tell me like, oh, you haven't had sex in a year, I'm like, what? Like I could never even imagine that that was becoming me. You know, I think that if you're addressing those symptoms and you're aware of them and not afraid to have those conversations and not afraid that's going to chase somebody away, and I know that it's hard, it's easier to say that than not, but I can tell you from what I did, it didn't chase anybody away. It made us a lot closer. I think that men are more aware of this conversation now. They're not as naive as we all were about it. I think most, the good ones, are willing to listen and pay attention and see what it is you need. We know our bodies at this age better than we ever have, I think. And I think that I would say this to women: if you don't know your body, get to know it inside now, like in a real way. Like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of sex toys. Don't be afraid of being aware of what turns you on, makes you excited, and who you're with. Like if you try to stay young for a guy forever and he's not appreciating where you are right now, that's not somebody you want to be with, because that's not attainable. It's
Yeah.
not attainable.
Well, friends, the book is called How to Menopause, and I highly recommend that you read it and start kind of understanding where you are in your female journey, shall we say, and start doing the things. I think, I'm really into preventative as well, and starting to make the lifestyle changes that we need so that we can be healthy long term. But um, I think some of the things that you mentioned, whether it was the sleep, the weight training, and the diet, we can start doing now so that we can have an easier journey later. I always love hearing from people who are like, I wish I had done this. Thank you so much for everything you're doing to shed light on this and share your story and being so honest about everything too. That's the thing. Like sometimes this stuff's embarrassing. And if you like what you just saw, please hit subscribe to get more clips and full episodes. Healing is possible, friends, and it happens here. Hey, Heal Squad. We have been on quite the journey together, and we're hearing from so many of you just how much this show is helping you heal and get better, and it makes us feel so good. We love, love, love it, and we just ask that you don't keep it to yourself. Spread the message and share the show or your favorite episode with your friends. And if you want to help us even more, you can leave us a 5-star rating and a comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and follow us on Instagram at Heal Squad. You can also DM us anytime because we love connecting with you. And finally, you can also join us on Patreon for our monthly live heal events with world-class healers and ad-free episodes exclusive only to Patreon and our Super Heal Squad for as little as $10 a month. So go to patreon.com/Heal Squad to join. Getting better isn't easy, friends, but as I say all the time, it's a whole lot easier if we can do it together. We love you all so much, and we love doing this thing called life with you.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or MariaMenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within a website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.